joining us live from Portugal. As you can see, she's actually hosting this class from a wonderful kitchen. She's born and raised there. She's lived, she's traveled the world, but also lived in Spain and France. And she runs Mesa Luisa, which is a place where you can go and experience the culture, the history, and the flavors of Portugal and Portuguese food. She's very proud of the food and very proud of the local produce, and she's here to share a little bit about that with us today. With that, I'll stop sharing and hand it over to Luisa to introduce herself and also share her recipes today. If you have questions as the class proceeds, if you have any questions, please leave them in chat. I'll be taking those questions up with Luisa as the class proceeds or towards the end of the class.
Hi, everyone. Well, I'm not sure where you are. I think you are from United States, Canada, South Africa, I think. And but I'm very thankful for your presence here and your curiosity about my country. I know I'm very proud of being Portuguese. I'm very proud of my cooking, and that's why I host TV cooking show about Portuguese old recipes. I'm now preparing a cooking book, and I'm now here with you, sharing some of my little knowledge about food and Portuguese food. We are a very small country in the bottom of Europe, but I think we are the best in Europe. And I did a small video in the market this morning, but you can see it after the class. You will have it. And today I think it will be like an appetizer for future classes. If you are interested and if you think it's worth it, I will go on. But today, let me explain you two or three things about Portugal. We are in the Mediterranean, so we have very good products. We have a wonderful weather. So we have vegetables like tomatoes, fantastic, amazing, almost as good as Italian ones. Well, I think Italians are a little bit better, but it's okay. Ours are very good. And two or three things. We are the country in Europe that eats more fish. I don't know if you know it. In my video that you can see, I have show you a little bit of our fish in the fish bunker. And we are also the country in Europe that eats more rice, which is something very interesting. We eat rice in soups. We eat rice as a side dish. We eat rice as a main dish. We have a lot of rices like duck rice, fish rice, seafood rice, bean rice, tomato rice, cod rice. Every rice you can think of, we have it. And then we have rice in dessert. One of the most popular desserts in Portugal is arroz doce, which is sweet rice. It's rice that is cooked in milk and sugar, and it's one of the best desserts in Portugal. Today, I'm going to do two things. As I told you, this is a kind of an appetizer. It's not a long recipe. We'll do in other classes, but today it's just to introduce you. We have a lot of recipes with pork meat. We eat a lot of pork meat. We don't eat a lot of cow meat because we are a poor country and the cow meat is expensive. It's mainly imported. We have it in Azores, one of our islands, and then we import it from Argentina and from Brazil. So the meat, cow meat in Portugal is rather expensive. So the basic persons in Portugal don't eat a lot of cow meat. They eat pork meat and chicken. Not a lot of chicken, but we have chicken and pork meat. So with the pork meat, it's very interesting because in the south of Portugal, we used to have, people used to have a pig, and once a year they kill the pig, and there is a very big party. Still today, you have a very big party when you kill the pig. Everybody comes, the families and the friends and everything. And what they do is normally half of the meat, the fresh meat, they sell it to the local butcher, and they have a little extra money for the rest of the year. And some parts they keep it, they salt it or smoke it. And there's where you have the sausages, what we call chorizo. It's a little bit like the Spanish ones, chorizo, but ours are not so spicy, or it depends on the region of Portugal. There is the chorizo, is different in different regions, but the only difference is the spices, what they put inside. In fact, it's always pork meat in sausages, and then sometimes they do it with blood, and it's the black chorizo. Sometimes they don't put a lot of things. The chorizo I have here today, let me show you. It's the plain chorizo. It's like this, and I'm going to grill it in a special thing that we have. We do it, let me tell you that we do this since we are teenagers. We go camping and we always get one thing like this, and we grill the chorizo. That's something that we do since we are small, so it's a very typical thing. And then I'm going to do another thing, typical from the region of Lisbon, that we call green eggs. And the green eggs are hard-boiled eggs, and I'm going to start boiling them. And then we take out the yolks, we smash it with parsley, a little bit of lemon, and then we put it in flour, eggs, and breadcrumbs, okay? And we fry them. So I'm going to show this. It's our first time, so keep it simple. And it's just, as I told you, an appetizer for our Portuguese food. So if you have any questions or anything that you would like to know, or please just go on the chat, and at the end, at the last 15 minutes of the class, I will try to answer you. What I would really love is to come to Portugal and to Lisbon. But now I'm going to make the chorizo. Before I'll boil the eggs. Let me get some. O que é que eu preciso de? Lá, está aí atrás. Farinha. So I'm going to boil the eggs. This is a very fresh meal for the summer. And at the same time, I'm going to let me tell you some things about the fish. The four main ways that we do fish, we grill a lot of fish. I'm sure you have heard about sardines. This is the time for sardines now. And so we grill the sardines. We have a lot of grilled fish in any restaurant in Lisbon or wherever in Portugal. You can grill the sardines, and you grill a lot of fish. And then we have the boiled one. So you can boil the fish, you just poach it. And it's also the hake and everything, we poach it. And then we have the fried fish. We love to fry. Deep fry. So we have a lot of recipes where you fry the fish in different ways. Or you do it the one that I'm sure you know, which is flour, eggs, and breadcrumbs, and you fry. Or the special one in Lisbon, in Portugal, our national way of doing is only flour, egg, and then you fry. It makes a special crust. Very typical from Portugal. It's not the same as you normally do in Italy and everything where you do the breadcrumbs. So, and then you have, when I have, oh, because I didn't tell you, because I have this space, this kitchen, where I receive people from all over the world. I just had here some guests from Washington, D.C., and another one's from New York City. And so it's where I receive my guests. I go with them to the market. I'll show them all the products that we have today, and they choose what they want to cook and what they want to eat. And so we come, we buy everything that we need, and then we come here to my kitchen, we cook together, and we have lunch together. We drink a lot, we talk a lot, and it's fun. So that's what, I was saying, yes, there's a lot of my guests that ask for the last way of cooking fish that I didn't tell you, which is baked in the oven. So we get a big fish, normally a red snapper or something like that. We put it in the oven with a lot of onions, small potatoes, small tomatoes, white wine, olive oil, oven. And in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, depending on the size of the fish, it's done, and it's marvelous. So these are the main ways of cooking the fish. And now I'm going to grill. So I showed you this. I didn't explain you, but I cut the chorizo not until the bottom, but just like this, you see. And then I put rubbing alcohol, the one that you buy in the pharmacies. Let me put it here so you can see it well. Like this. And now we have a beautiful moment of cinema. Now let me put it here. You can see it. Ta-da! Woo! Just this. You see it's shrinking. So it's just this. And this is really good.
Luisa,
I think this is terrible because you're looking and you can't try it. It's terrible.
there is a question in the chat. Why do you use rubbing alcohol in cooking?
Why do we use, well, we want something that doesn't have any taste. And we could use vodka or something like that, but it's expensive and it's not worth it. What we want is something that have fire. So it's worthless using anything better than rubbing alcohol. It's what we use because it's not expensive and it works.
And how long do you cook this for? Like, how do you know?
Until you see it's done. Normally, I put the alcohol like to fill all the bottom of the can, and it's enough. If it's not enough, I let it down completely. That's very dangerous. You have to be very careful because sometimes alcohol is burning and you can't see it. So that's very, very important. You have to be sure that the alcohol is absolutely out. And then you put a little bit more. But now, for example, it's great. It's working. And then when the alcohol is burning the chorizo, it gets some grease that is falling, and the grease also burns. So you take a little more time, you see? Well, I'm going to show you. Trying to get it near. and show you.
That looks great.
It's beautiful, isn't it? And it's yummy. It's very yummy. So now this is very hot.
There's another question. Can we use a regular pan or do we need the special setup? Can we make it in any pan that we have at home?
You can't use a regular pan, because if you use a regular pan, the chorizo will be poached on the alcohol. We can't do it. That's why we have these special pans for that. So you have to come to Lisbon, and you have to buy it in Lisbon. But it's made of clay, because the clay can have a lot of very hot things and it doesn't burn. So
there is another question in the chat. Is that dried or fresh chorizo?
Right, fresh chorizo.
Fresh.
I don't know what's dried chorizo. We don't have it here. It's also it's fresh, meaning maybe I'm not explaining. The chorizo is made with fresh meat and then it's smoked. This one is smoked. I don't know if it's not a fresh sausage, okay? It's smoked. So maybe it's what you mean by dry.
Okay.
It's smoked. It's not the same as a sausage. Sausage is with raw meat. This is raw meat, but then it's smoked for some weeks, okay? So it's like the ham and things like that. It's smoked.
Yeah.
So done. This is hot, so I'm not going. And I'm going to prepare the eggs are boiling, and I'm going to prepare. Well, it's very easy. We only have to chop the.
One of our learners, Laura, is saying she has a trip planned to Portugal in June 22.
Sorry?
One of our learners is saying they have a trip planned to Portugal in June 22. So she'll probably be visiting you.
I hope so. Yeah. You have, you can come to Portugal. We still go to the beach until November. We have weather, nice weather now. The climate is changing, as you all know. And so our summer is going further and further. So we have now the summer until November. I have a lot of people coming here in October and November because it's a really, really nice weather. And it's not so busy as in summertime. So if you have your time and you can do, you can travel when you want, don't come in July and August. It's there are too many people, restaurants are full, there's a lot of people in the streets, and really the nicest time is October, November, or April, May. It's really nice. If you can choose, do it those times because you have a lot of people. It's very hot in August too. So I'm just chopping the parsley. Let me tell you that the aromatics that we use more in Portugal are the coriander, much more than parsley. Well, parsley we use for a lot of things, just when we end something, just to put, but the thing is coriander. Coriander, garlic, and bay leaves are the three things that we mostly use in Portuguese cooking. And of course, fresh products. This is normally a meal, and in summertime, we do these eggs and then we make a good salad. Sometimes with black-eyed peas, and some onion and also parsley, and or some rice, pea rice, um, or tomato rice or something like that. But it's something that people in Lisbon like a lot. It's very fresh because you have a lot of lemon inside, so it's really good. It takes a little long, but if you like to cook, it's fine. So now I'm going to put this with waiting for the yolks. Dá-me um bocadinho de manteiga. Tem no frigorífico. Parsley. Ah. I'm just putting some cold water in the eggs to peel them, okay? You know that when you put the hard-boiled eggs inside cold water, it's much easier to peel them. I hope they are hard-boiled. You see, all the peel comes out very easily. One. Marta, arranjas-me um prato, 3 pratos destes, um com farinha, um com 2 ovos batidos e outro com ralado. Isto não é farinha, esta que está aqui não é farinha. Há um pequenino, que é farinha.
There's a question in the chat. So how much parsley did you chop up for how many eggs? Like what's the ratio?
Well, now I'm doing 4 eggs, and I have I don't know how you buy parsley in your country, but here we buy like a bunch, and this is half of a bunch. It's what I used. Okay, so can you see like this? This is called green eggs, so we want them to be green. So we have a lot of parsley. It depends also. You can do it other ways. You can do it with sometimes we do it with some ham, but also cut it in very small pieces. Or you can do whatever you want. You can put whatever you want inside, you see. But make sure you always put a little bit of lemon. It's very important because the lemon, if you try it tonight, well, I don't know what time is it in your countries, but if you try it, you'll see how fresh it is. So I think you are seeing what I'm doing. I'm going to cut in half. They could be a little bit more because they are, if you can see, they are not very hard boiling, but well, so the yolks go there. Okay. And now a little bit of butter. We need the butter to get a thing together. If you only smash the yolks with the parsley, it wouldn't be homogeneous. I don't know if you say that, like you have to stick it together, and you need something to do it and to glue everything. Okay, so maybe it's okay. I forgot one egg.
Yeah,
So I have
maybe to
one.
bind them together.
Yes.
Do you mean to bind them together?
Yes, to glue. You see, you have to have, I'll show you. You have to have something that it's easy to,
As a binder.
yeah, maybe.
There's another question: is warm? Are you adding warm butter or cold butter is fine?
It should be a little bit melty, but as the yolks are hot, it will work. You see, normally you should make the yolks come colder, and then you have to put the butter a little bit melty. But now, as everything is very hot, it's okay. You see, so the butter is melting because this is hot. Now I have to put some salt because, of course, the eggs don't have salt. Beans. So it's to bind. Yes, that's what you were saying, isn't it? To bind the ingredients. Okay, you see, now you have a nice consistency. Now, pepper. I love pepper. And I'm gonna use this salt. Normally I use the salt, the sea salt, but here I prefer this one because the other one wouldn't smelt, I think. So it's better this one. And of course you have to taste before you refill the. Let me see. And now, lemon. That is the secret ingredient. It's really important. Marta, dás-me ali uma colher de chá. Okay.
Salt and lemon as per taste, or
sorry?
Is this salt as per taste, or is there an amount? The salt and lemon.
The salt depends on each person. You know, sometimes people like, but please put the salt. I did it on the opposite, but you shouldn't. Put the lemon and then the salt, because the lemon makes all the tastes more stronger. So put the lemon and then the salt, or it would be maybe too salty. Let me see. And it also depends on the salt, you know. It depends on the thickness of the salt. There are salts that salt more than others. So now what we do, this. We fill the whites of the eggs with this pasta, like this. You have something, I think in the United States, that's called devil eggs, something like that. I think it's more or less this, but they don't fry them, I think. So we try to if you have teenagers, children, or grandchildren, this is a nice thing to do with them. My grandchildren love to do this with me. Not this part, the other that is coming. Okay. So this is done. And now we have the next part. So first we do it in the flour. And it's very important because if you don't do it in the flour, the egg doesn't stick here. So we do it in the flour. I'm going to do all of them in the flour before. There is several ways of doing this. There are some people that do it and don't fry them and put it in the oven with tomato sauce, for example. That's another recipe. Not a green eggs, but this kind of eggs. And there's also some people that put some tuna fish inside, but cans, not fresh tuna fish, cans. And then you can also add some chorizo or something like that in the refill, and well, you can be creative. But I can assure you this is really good.
And that's just any all-purpose flour, right?
Sorry?
That's just any regular all-purpose flour, right?
Flour?
Yeah.
Flour is wheat flour, the normal one. But you can do it with our other flour. The thing is here to dry the egg. So if you can do it, if you are gluten, yeah, you can't eat flour, you can do it with another flour like rice flour or something like that. So now the second part. We do it in the egg. And in the breadcrumb. E disse, lavou aquela frigideira verde. Está na máquina ou está lavada? Boa. You see? Beautiful.
Is that breadcrumbs?
Breadcrumbs, yes. For the breadcrumbs, let me tell you something. I normally do it at home because I don't know in your countries, but here in Portugal, we eat a lot of bread, a lot. We even eat bread at lunch and at dinner. We always have bread to go as side dish. I don't know. We love to put the bread in every sauce or something like that. So we always have spare. So I always have bread at home and I don't know what to do. So I always do my breadcrumbs. I put it in the oven to dry, and then I do breadcrumbs with fresh herbs, with lemon zest, with some cheese, or with oregano. Well, depending on what I'm doing, I do my breadcrumbs, and it's so good because you can change it every time. Right. For the frying, we don't use olive oil. We use sunflower oil or any other oil that is not olive, because olive oil will burn a lot in high temperatures. It's not good. So normally we use sunflower oil to all our fries, and we have a lot in Portugal. We deep fry a lot of things. Almost done. Um, e agora temos que mudar isso um bocadinho ali para fritar. Now I'm going to fry, and I'm going to try to change my laptop. Let's see. Okay. Dá-me uma coisita para eu expor naquelas fotos. Essa coisa. Okay, so this is eating. Let me think, what can I tell you about the Portuguese food? There is something that my guests always say when they are for 3 or 4 days in Lisbon, in Portugal. They always say that we don't eat a lot of vegetables, which is more or less true. It's not completely true, and I'll tell you why. We are not very creative. When you ask for a side dish of vegetables, you always get lettuce, tomato, and onions. That's what you have. It's a salad. And then you can there is not Spanish, for example, they have a lot of grilled vegetables and things we don't have. But we have something that you don't have in any other country, which is soup. There is no meal in Portugal without soup. We do soup every day in every meal, lunch and dinner. There is a lot of people after, well, like me, after 60 that don't have dinner anymore. They only have soup and fruit. And in every coffee shop in Lisbon, when you go in, you'll see the soup of the day. And the soup you can have meat soup. You have a lot like the one that it's the most popular in Portugal is chicken soup. And it's a soup where you have cooked a chicken, and then you put rice, and that's what we eat. You don't eat chicken, just the broth and the rice. That's one thing. Then you have a lot of fish soups, seafood soup, and vegetable soups. Babies start when they are born. They drink their mother's milk, and when they are 5 months old, they start eating soup. It's a very creamy vegetable soup they eat. And then you have the most popular one is called caldo verde, which means green soup. And it's potato and onions. And then you put a kind of kale, very thin, and you put it in the soup with olive oil. So we have all kinds of soup, but all the vegetables that we eat are in the soup. In summer, we have cold soup, not gazpacho. Gazpacho is Spanish, but we have tomato soup, which is cooked tomato with onions. Well, it's something that I can show you. So I can cook here in the next classes, and that we eat cold in summer and hot in winter. Sometimes we put a poached egg inside. It's really good. Sometimes we put some crouton, small pieces of bread fried. It's really good. We have bean soup, which is marvelous. Well, we have a lot of soups. Every day a different soup. So we have a lot of vegetables. And now this is getting into my nose. I think it's hot. Let me see. Yeah. So. And it's almost done.
Luisa, there's a question in the chat. How deep is the oil? Like, is it sinking in the oil, or is it like?
Yes, it should be. It should be sinking. You can't see, but it should be sinking. It should be, well, if it's a little bit outside, then we turn it. But it should be deep fried. And the oil should be hot. We don't need to have it a long time here, because if you think the eggs are boiled and everything is cooked, so we don't need it to cook here. It's just the outside that has to be fried.
There's another question in the chat. What do you normally eat for breakfast in Portugal?
Sorry, I didn't listen.
There's another question. What do you normally eat for breakfast in Portugal?
Oh, that's an interesting question because we are not like the British, or we eat bread, toasts, coffee and milk or tea. It's not that we have a very complicated thing. Sometimes with cheese, but not very complicated. We love when we go to foreigner countries because they have beautiful breakfast, but we don't have it here. It's really bread and butter or some cheese or some ham and milk and coffee. We call it, when we have in hotels, those breakfasts with a lot of things, we call it English breakfast. It's not ours. But you have the pastéis de nata, and sometimes we eat it in breakfast, which are those tarts typical from Portugal, those small tarts with a kind of crème brûlée inside. They are really good. And there are many people that after breakfast, not in breakfast, after breakfast, go to a coffee shop, have a coffee and a pastel de nata. That's the thing that we do. We drink a lot of coffees in Portugal. We drink, like, I think the average is like 6 coffees a day, each Portuguese. One in the morning, one in half morning, one in after. Well, we drink a lot of coffees. Small, they are not like yours, like big ones. We are espresso, like the Italian ones, but we drink a lot. Well, and it's done. I don't know if you can see, but they are gold and beautiful.
You can bring it a little closer to the camera because there's a lot of light on it.
Yes, let me just take them out. And Marta, dá-me aí prato mais... não, mais plato, mais raso, exato. Obrigada, Luisa. Senão não se vê bem. Okay. So, can you see them? Yeah?
Yes, yes, we can see them.
Yes,
Yeah, it looks very nice.
Okay. So that's what I did. I can cut just to see. Then I put a little bit more of lemon. And I'm going to cut you. I don't know if you can see. It's like,
Oh,
okay.
yes, yeah.
And then you can just make a salad if you're in summer, or if you're in winter, you do a nice rice and it's perfect. Before you eat the chorizo with some bread. And that's what we do in Portugal, we eat. Okay, any questions?
Yeah, I have a question that is there any vegan preparation, a vegetarian snack kind of thing?
This is vegetarian.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
this
Suppose
is
some
vegetarian.
people who don't
You,
take egg.
sorry?
People who do not take egg.
Okay. Uh, we can make it up. It's not, I have to tell you the truth. It's not very easy to be vegan in Portugal.
Okay, okay.
My daughter is vegetarian. She
Mhm.
eats eggs and cheese. And even though it's difficult, it's getting better. It's getting better, but it's not easy. We love fish and we love cheese and we love meat. So pork meat. So chorizo, as you see, chorizo, bacon, everything. It's not easy. But I have a lot of vegetarians here in my class. And I always make, for example, we can make eggplants, or we can do a lot of things that we do with cod. We can put tofu. You say tofu in English?
Yeah, tofu.
That, yeah, tofu instead of but it's experience that we are making now, because we are really not very vegetarian things. But well, vegetarian is easier because we have a lot of we do, for example, 2 days ago I had a vegan person here, and I made a wonderful rice with a lot of vegetables, and it was really good because tomatoes are good, and the vegetables are so good that you can always make a vegetable thing. It's not very difficult, and I have a lot of vegetarians here, so it's we'll work on it.
There is another question in the chat. How do we find you in Portugal?
You just, when you arrive at the airport, you say Luisa, and everybody. No, I have a website. It's called Mesa Luisa, and it's also the name of my cooking show, and also the name of my book. And Mesa Luisa means the table of Luisa, because we believe in Portugal that everything that is important is around the table. Every good conversation, everything that happens in families, we talk around the table. So in Portugal, it's very, very important, the meals. We always eat around the table, never on the sofa or with the TV in front of us. It's really important in families in Portugal to have, it's almost all the families have what we call the family dinner once a week. In my case, it's on Sundays. We all have dinner together, and it's really important. So if you look at Mesa Luisa, you have my website and my email, my phone, and everything.
We have a couple of more questions. So Sue has asked, do you use air fryers, and could these eggs be used in an air fryer?
Yes, I do it in air fryer. Yes, and at home, well, here I have a very big kitchen, and but at home I don't have as a big one, so I don't deep fry things. So I do it in a air fryer, and it's really good, really good. It's a new thing that I have. I have it for some months, but I really enjoy it.
There is one more question around when are you teaching us desserts?
Well, desserts, let me tell you something about desserts in Portugal. 90% of the desserts in Portugal are made with eggs, sugar, and almonds. And we call it the monastery desserts, because all of them come from old monasteries, because the monks had, well, they had a lot of chickens, a lot of eggs, and they used the white of the eggs to iron their, you know, those dresses they have, and the I don't know, the collar. The collar, exactly. They use the white of the eggs to iron the collar, and also to make the things that the Catholics eat at the Mass. That is called hostia. I don't know how you say it in English.
Wafer. A wafer.
Okay. So they use also the white of the eggs to make the wafer, It's with white of the eggs and a little bit of flour. So they had a lot of yolks, and they used the yolks to make all kinds of desserts that are really, but just to tell you one example of one of the most popular desserts, you need 36 yolks to make a dessert like this. So everything, it's about the minimum 36 yolks and 1 kilo of sugar. So I don't know if you still want to learn how to do it, but it's more or less this. But of course, I don't know how it works, but if you ask, I'll teach you. And it's also another thing, everything is done with the sugar, the syrup of the sugar, you know, you have different temperatures and different, that's also, they are not at all easy to make, not at all. They are really, you have experts on Portuguese desserts because they are really complicated. Then you have my desserts that are not so typical, but of course we also do, and we can do it in 1 hour. So if you ask them, I'll teach you. I'm glad to teach you.
So we have 2 minutes left. There's another question. Maybe I know we were going to share a video of the market walk, which we share on in the class notes. But where do you buy the ingredients, and especially the meat that you were cooking earlier? Where would you buy that in Portugal?
I always buy in the market. I think it's well, I think we have very good small producers, and I like to help them. We have had well, all the world had, but this market near me is the central market in the central of Lisbon, and they lived a lot from the restaurants, hotels, and the Airbnbs around here. So in the last 2 years, as you can imagine, there was no work for them. And so I like to help them. They are very good. They have very, very good products. And so only if I just don't find the things that I want, which I think never happens, and I buy the fish, vegetables, and meat at the local market.
Where do you get that little orange pot you used to cook the chorizo in?
Sorry?
Where did you get the little orange pot that you cooked the meat in when you started the show?
Oh, the pot.
Yeah.
Yes, I have it here. I have in my kitchen. I sell them. I made it made for me with the name of Ms. Luisa, and I have it there. It's not easy in Lisbon. It's typical from a region, well, like 50, 100 meters. Yeah, it's this, you see. And I have it made for me.